Whoever believes in me will do the works that I do, and will do greater ones than these, because I am going to the Father. And whatever you ask in my name, I will do, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything of me in my name, I will do it. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise be to the Lord.
My sisters and my brothers, being here with you today, I must tell you, is a singular honor and a singular privilege. I must confess to you that I ask myself, what am I doing here? And I mean that. Because my life of now 70 years has been a real search for where I belong. My grandfather, as many of you know, came to this country from the Philippines many, many years ago. He lived to be in his late 90s. And I grew up in Virginia. And the ways and the mores of Virginia, when I was born in 1950, are complicated, to say the least. And so, whenever there were immigrants then, I suppose immigrants now, immigrants always settled in diverse neighborhoods. We always settle into places where we feel accepted. And so, I grew up primarily in an African-American neighborhood. And so that's what I always considered myself to be. When I was a deacon, I spent that summer in Africa. And I remember arriving at the airport. I pulled out my passport. I gave it to the officer who was there. He took one look at my picture and said, "You don't belong in Africa. You belong in the Philippines." And I never really thought about that. On another occasion, I was walking through a school in a little village. And as I walked by, I heard all the little children sing Sungu. And I turned to an African seminarian, and I asked them what the word meant. They said, "It's white man." I said, "Why?" And they said to me, He calls all Africans are black, and you're not black. So you see, it has been a constant struggle for me to somehow discern where I fit in the world. For me, this is a very comfortable place. It's easy to see, no matter how difficult it may be, where grace fits in the world. But I can tell you, even in this parish, there have been challenges because of my complexion. There have been many graces to it, I must say that. But I mention all of this because of this Word of God that you and I have just heard on this pilgrimage day. The church, after the death of Jesus Christ, that we read of in the Acts of the Apostles, is tremendous. And it is undergoing this tremendous change, this tremendous conversion. You might remember that right after Easter itself, we began reading again from these Acts of the Apostles, and it was Peter. And all the wonderful things that Peter and the apostles were doing. We've made such a way through the Acts of the Apostles now, as we begin this fifth week of Easter, that now there's St. Paul. St. Paul is entered into this community. And we know of Paul's history. So now he is an active member of the community, and as he goes out, he comes to a temple on a Sabbath day, and he's rebuffed by the Jews themselves. And of course, Jesus Christ was himself a Jew. And it is all a way of introducing us to the reality that the Church of Jesus Christ is for absolutely everyone. On that Sabbath, as surely as this is the Sabbath, not the whole city is here, but you and I are here. And even as you and I are here, we're told that the Jews were filled with jealousy. And you don't have to be Catholic very long to realize that there is a real jealousy about Catholicism in the world. And there is always this tension, not between Catholicism and anything else, but between what's true and what isn't true. That's the real struggle. And Jesus, Mary, and Joseph knew that struggle. And in all their struggles, their response always to the Word of God alive in them was always yes. Theirs was the experience of knowing that they were destined for eternal life in God. No matter how many times the covenant with God had been broken, it was still their faith conviction, Mary and Joseph, that they would one day live forever in the presence of God. How do you think Mary and Joseph would have felt to hear Jesus Christ say to them, if you ask anything of me in my name, I will do it? I know how I would have felt. I know that later in the life of my mother and my father, as we talked about things like wills and estates and things like that, I remember saying to my sisters and brothers that Mom and Dad never did another thing for me. They've already done enough. And I hope that's something that every single one of us learns to be able to say about the family that God has given to us in this world. Brothers and sisters, in the apostolic letter, Patris Corde, our Holy Father just last year, Pope Francis, proclaimed the 150th anniversary of the proclamation of St. Joseph as patron of the universal church. Today, this afternoon, here we are. We are joined in pilgrimage in honor of Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, the Theotokos, the God-bearer. We continue also our celebration of Easter, this Easter season, in which we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. In light of the essential gifts of Jesus, of Mary, and and Joseph, to their participation in this divine mystery of salvation, I think that it is most fitting during our 18th annual Asian Pacific Island Catholic Mary pilgrimage to pray to the Lord that we might enter more fully into the life of the Holy Family of Nazareth. If you and I were to look at the book of Genesis, you and I would see in the second creation account, we will hear God say, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." Later it is written, He gave them dominion over creation. Still further, in the divine image He created him, male and female He created them. And finally, the book of Genesis says, in the divine image He created him, male and female He created them. Finally, God looked at everything that He had made, and He found it very good. Evening came, and morning followed on the sixth day. Now, from that day until this day of you and I gathered here, evenings have come, and mornings have followed. Time and time and time again, God entered into covenant with the people He had chosen to be His own. But time and again, Adam and Eve and their descendants, the male and the female, failed to keep the covenant. These covenants have been broken by every single descendant since the fall of man and woman because of pride and disobedience. If you look at the letter of St. Paul to the Colossians, he tells us that there is a remedy to this disobedience. There is a remedy to our jealousies. There is a remedy to all of the temptations and sins that we commit. And he says to the Colossians, and he says to you and to me this day, put on love. Put on love, because love is the bond of perfection. And I want to suggest to you that the Holy Family is the epiphany of a family that put on love. Consider a family. Consider all of our families. And then consider the entire family of God with hearts that are controlled by the peace of Christ Himself. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were the first to experience this love, this bond of perfection, this peace, this thanks to God, who is Father. Mary and Joseph were the first to be offered the grace to do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, generations after generation have dreamed the dream and imagined a world in which God gives success to all of our works. By this, I speak of a world in which every thought, every word, and every action finds its source and its summit in the love that is revealed to us in Jesus Christ. In imitation of the Holy Family, Pope Francis has written, we are called to rediscover the value of family. This discovery requires being found on the love that always regenerates relationships, opening up horizons to hope. And brothers and sisters, this is important because there's so many of us who are members of families, we find ourselves all going in different directions, whereas the whole core of family, the whole matter of love, is a drawing into the one, being drawn into a unity, and being drawn into a unity that is of love and of holiness. Many of us know that there are members of our families who are estranged one from the other. And there are many who we wish were here with us even today, but they're not here. There's still this whole matter of jealousy and disobedience that we heard at our first reading. But the reality is that God in Jesus Christ never ceases to call us to be one in God. We are people who are to realize that within the family, you and I can experience the communion that is in God Himself if we bring into our families the love and the holiness that is God Himself. Every single one of our homes needs to be as our hearts need to be. Places of prayer, places of veneration, places of communion, places of thought, places of meditation, places of conviction, that you and I may come to a profound and a pure awareness of who exactly we are in relationship to God. Created in His image, yes, but given the grace to every single day reflect more fully His very likeness. Pope Francis says that when forgiveness prevails over discord, when the daily harshness of life is solved by mutual tenderness and serene adherence to God's will, then you and I find ourselves in the way of walking along the way of holiness. In this way, the family opens itself to the joy that God gives to all who know that we are loved by Him and called to live joyfully. At the very same time, it finds the spiritual energy to be open to the outside world, to be open to others, to serving our brothers and sisters, to cooperate in building an ever new and an ever better world in which there is room at the table for every single one of us, becoming a bearer of positive stimuli. The family is evangelized by the example of living their lives a holy way. In Familiaris Consortio, Pope John Paul II, Pope St. John Paul II, also speaks of the Holy Family. He writes of St. Joseph that he was a just man, that St. Joseph was a tireless worker, that St. Joseph was an upright guardian of Mary and Jesus who were entrusted to him. And so it becomes our prayer on this pilgrimage day that St. Joseph may always guard, protect, and enlighten each one of us and our families. The Virgin Mary, who is Mother of the Church, we pray that she may always be the mother of the church of our very own homes. In thanksgiving for the aid and the assistance that she gives to every single one of us, the church never ceases to pray that every Christian family might become a little church itself, in which the mystery of the Church of Christ is mirrored and given to life. And so we pray to Mary today, as the handmaid of the Lord, that she may be an example of humility and generosity, and teaching us how to accept the will of God. May she, who we know as sorrowful mother, present at the foot of the cross, may she comfort the sufferings and dry the tears of those who are in distress because of the difficulties they find in the family. And finally, brothers and sisters, return to the Son of Mary, the Son of God, the foster child of Joseph. May Jesus Christ, who is our Lord and our universal King, the King of each one of our families, may He be present in every single one of our homes, just as He was at Cana. May He continue to bestow light, joy, serenity, and strength in our lives. And finally, on this pilgrimage day, may we ask the Lord that every family generously make its contribution to the kingdom which is to come. That is a kingdom of truth, a kingdom of light, a kingdom of light, a kingdom of holiness and grace, a kingdom of justice, of love, and peace towards all of human history is on the journey.